Chapter 29. In the Wind. 24th of March 2019, 10:45 a.m. It wasn't hard to find. There it was in black and white. Name, Samantha Louise Bainbridge, age 65. Date of death, 23rd of May 2008. Cause of death, cancer of the lung. Last seen alive by Dr. J. Scroby at 1:45 p.m. Place of death, Exeter City Hospital. The doctor's name was hard to read, Scroby or Scrody, something like that. The certificate stated the illness was diagnosed in the February. Nothing more. Only 3 months or so between diagnosis and death. Not long at all. She was a lot younger than Ernie, but she wasn't destined to enjoy a long life. She clearly had a lot of struggles in her own life, and I felt glad that she'd found Ernie and enjoyed quite a number of very happy years with him. Even now, in my 40s, I'm starting to look towards the end. Going by averages, I'm over halfway through my own time on Earth. Life is short. We must make the most of it. I need to constantly remind myself of that, especially on the bad days. I now have butterflies in my stomach, as I know I need to go to Plymouth. There isn't anything else to do. There's nothing left to find here. I've just booked a room at the Citadel House Hotel. Good facilities, a place to park, and good reviews of the breakfast. That will do. I don't think I'll need more than one night there, and then I can make the long trip home. It's only about an hour's drive from here, so I should be there in plenty of time before I'm required to check in. I'll park up and have a wander around the city centre. Once I've unpacked and composed myself, I'll make my way over to see Mr. Green, and hopefully he won't be too shocked to see me. 1:30 p.m. What a glorious day. I'm sat on a bench on Plymouth Hoe, looking out over the English Channel, only metres from the impressive statue of Sir Francis Drake. In 1588 he was getting ready to go into battle against the Spanish Armada from here. He must have been a bit scared, but I bet he didn't show it, and I mustn't either. I must stay professional. I can just explain that the case brought me to Devon, and it seemed rather daft to post my findings when I could simply bring them over, nearly 50 miles further south in the wrong direction. I'm sure he'll be fine. He comes across as a very polite and understanding gentleman. He's always been very grateful and gracious for the work I have done on his behalf. He will be disappointed, though, that I haven't found Ernie. Will he? Is this why I'm so nervous? This is a beautiful place to sit. So calming. The lighthouse to my right is not too dissimilar to the one in Portland that Ernie painted. The red and white stands out against the backdrop of blue sky and green grass. I could sit here all day, but I know I need to go. Time waits for no man. 2:15 p.m. So here it is, Mr. Green's house. I don't know what I was expecting, but I have to say I'm very impressed. The house is in a quiet, secluded area on the outskirts of Plymouth called Tamerton Folliot. It was only a 15-minute drive from the busy centre, but it seems like a different world. The house is very big and, I'd guess, very expensive. It seems too big for one man to live in by himself. He never mentioned family. Well, he had need to. I hadn't really thought about his family until the last couple of days. I hadn't thought about anyone else opening that door but Mr. Green. Mr. Diary, you stay here. Deep breath. I'm going in. 6:30 p.m. Of all my diary entries, this will have to go down as the most memorable and the hardest one to write. I'm sitting in the van again, after yet another incredible afternoon. For the last 15 minutes I've just been driving and thinking and trying to take it all in. I've no idea where I am now, beside some farm in the middle of nowhere. It's dark and dismal outside. This isn't the ideal place to sit and write, but I must do it now while everything is still fresh in my mind. Thank goodness I had my dictaphone turned on in my inside pocket. Oh my goodness, where do I start? From the knock at the door? I feel mentally and physically exhausted. I need to write this down though. I need to get it out of my head, off the dictaphone and in print. The light isn't great in here, but it doesn't matter. I need to get it down on paper. I knocked on the door of the house and it was answered by a woman. I guessed she was in her late 60s and I presumed it to be Mrs. Amanda Green. I introduced myself and she broke into a huge smile. "I've been expecting you," she said. "Really?" I was even more confused then. I asked if I had the right house, the house of Mr. William Green, and she confirmed that I had. She invited me in. The interior was beautifully appointed, warm and homely, spotlessly clean too. It was bright and cheerful, plush deep carpets, all bright colours, and the large windows let in the sunlight, warming the rooms. I followed her into the conservatory and she invited me to sit down. The views of the grand gardens outside were stunning too. Blooms of every colour surrounding rockeries, bird tables and fountains. It was a magical place. The high bushes and trees surrounding the garden gave it an intimate, private feel, like a little piece of heaven away from the demands and stresses of real life. "Do you like the garden, Mr. Brunskill? It is truly beautiful at this time of year, isn't it?" I think I just nodded in agreement and smiled. I hadn't found my voice at that point. I scanned the rooms for signs of Mr. Green and listened for other voices in the house. She offered tea or coffee, along with scones and jam, and fresh clotted cream. I nodded enthusiastically. She walked away to the kitchen, while I sat back and admired the view. And while she was away, I set the dictaphone to record and placed it back in my inside pocket. After 10 minutes or so, she returned with a tray and placed it on the table in front of me. "Help yourself, Mr. Brunskill," she said. "Plenty more in the kitchen if you can manage it." We ate and drank and commented on the garden. All I could think of to say was, "Call me Paul, please. Thank you so much." She must have sensed my nerves. "Like I said, I was expecting you," she said. "We were hoping you would come, William and I." I was relieved to hear his name, even though I couldn't see him. Eventually, I managed to collect my thoughts and speak up. I said, "I hope you don't mind me coming to the house. I thought with the case taking me to Devon, it just made logical sense to drive down and see Mr. Green. I have managed to trace Ernie up to 2005 and his wife up to 2008, but I'm afraid I'm a little stuck now." She poured herself another tea and sat back smiling. "Mr. Brunskill, Paul, you have found and uncovered more than anyone could possibly have expected, more than anyone could have hoped for. You have provided answers to many questions, and you have been worth every penny that we have paid you. We, or I, am incredibly grateful for all you have done. You have no idea. To get as far as 2005 is simply incredible, astonishing. Maybe I can fill in a few blanks for you."